When I started learning to drive, which wasn't all that long ago, if one of my friends had bought a Hyundai, we'd have laughed and laughed and laughed in his face. Hyundais were bought by the sort of people who carry a tartan blanket in the boot, who drive at 40 miles an hour in the outside lane of the M6, and who do things like this at junctions. These days though, Hyundai is actually building some very good cars, including this, the Hyundai i10. It's the smallest model the company makes, but the question is it any good as a first car? There are two engines to choose from, a 1.2 litre petrol and this, a 1 litre petrol. To be honest, a 1 litre is all you need. The steering feels precise, the gear change is slick, and the ride is very comfortable for a car of this size. And on top of this, it's very quiet thanks to extra soundproofing which Hyundai has added around the doors and the windscreen. So from behind the wheel, there's very little to complain about. When you step outside, however, things aren't so good. The i10 isn't a bad-looking car, but it isn't exactly sexy, and unless you go for the top-of-the-range model, you don't even get alloy wheels. And then there's the badge, Hyundai. I drive a Hyundai. Doesn't sound good, does it? Put it this way, nobody ever got laid in the back of a Hyundai i10, which is probably why there's always a box of tissues on the parcel shelf. But while you won't be getting any action in the back seat, you'll be pleased to know that there's enough space too. There's loads of head and leg room, which is great if you've got tall mates. Plus, the boot is very big for a car of this size, even with a tartan blanket in it. The interior feels quite sporty too, and you can even match the colour of the seats and the dashboard with the colour of the car. Why Hyundai has given us a silver car with blue seats then, we're not quite sure. On top of this, the i10 gets 6 airbags and also scored 4 stars in the Euro NCAP crash tests. As you'd expect from a company which mainly builds cars for the Blue Rinse Brigade, there isn't an awful lot of kit in the i10. OK, you do get a USB socket and a socket for your MP3 player, and most models get aircon, but all but the top model have to make do with a stereo with just 2 speakers, and the sound quality isn't that great either. Top models also get Bluetooth with voice recognition, but you can't have sat-nav, not even as an optional extra. This is where the i10 really comes into its own. All of the models in the range are cheap to buy and they'll all be cheap to run. Plus, as we all know, the big expense for new drivers is insurance, so you'll be pleased to hear that the 1 litre model is in Insurance Group 1, which, as you probably guessed, is the lowest. So, as a car for impressing your mates or attracting members of the opposite sex, the i10 is about as effective as an infectious facial wound. And Halfords will probably sell you a mountain bike which comes with more special equipment. But if you want a cheap car with loads of space that's great fun to drive, then the i10 could be the perfect first car for you.